Hey there! In this video, we're going to talk about Spring Data JPA Query. If you haven't seen our previous video yet, make sure to check it out. First things first, let's add a Data.sql file under the resources folder. We'll put 8 rows of sample data into our person table in the HU database. Next, we'll set Spring JPA defer data source initialization to true in the Application.properties file. This makes sure that the database is initialized after all the beans are created. After updating the Application.properties file, let's update the Build.gradle file. We need to add the Apache Commons lang3 dependency. This dependency provides utility classes for working with Java core classes. We'll use it for null checking purposes later on in our code. After that, let's update the person entity. We should have marked the ID with that ID and a generated value. For a generated value, we need to set the strategy to identity. This tells JPA how to generate the primary key for this entity. Now let's update the PersonRepository interface. We'll add 2 new methods, findAllPersonByFirstNameIgnoreCase and findAllPersonByLastNameIgnoreCase. We'll also add a method called findAllPersonByFullName and annotate it with a query. This lets us specify a custom query for this method. Next up is updating the person service. In the getAllPersons method, we'll take into account 2 extra parameters, first name and last name. In the person service, we'll call different person repository methods depending on the values of first name and last name. If both are null, it will call the findAll method. We also need to update the person controller. We'll improve the getAllPersons method to take into account 2 optional parameters, first name and last name. It will call person services getAllPersons. Finally, we'll test out the /person endpoint using Postman. There are 4 scenarios: query by first name only, query by last name only, query by both first name and last name, and query all persons. For each scenario, we'll get different response from our server 0. And that's it for this video. If you found it helpful, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.